Happy to have you guys here. Find my eyeglasses. Oh, so much better. Hello, hello. Welcome to another fabulous YouTube live stream. Let me know how I'm sounding. Hopefully, it's sounding good. I am back at my dad's house in Yuma, Arizona. So I have left um, Palooza in Ehrenberg. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the topic of tonight's live stream for the folks who tune in specifically for the live stream. The topic, which is the running the air conditioner off a power station. So I'm going to do that really quick and blast through that. And then when we're all done, I'll circle back around, update you guys on some things, and then answer any questions. So if you guys have any questions about anything Nomad or van life or electrical, get those ready. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Now, we're going to be outside for a little bit for this first video, the test. It's easier to do it outside, and I'll explain all that right here. Let me flip the, oops, hold on. Okay, there we go. So we're going to go outside like this. Okay, and I'm going to flip on my little night light here. There we go. Two. That's pretty bright. I have this little night light or flashlight, I guess. It's kind of cool. It's like a tripod, and so it extends up about 30 inches, I would say, maybe almost 3 feet. And then you can use it to illuminate the area. Look at that. Works pretty good. I'm super happy with it. Anyway, we're going to use this for the video tonight, and I'll run through it really quick with you guys. So I'll show you what I got. Let's see. Let's try this. Oh, I'll take a seat here with you guys. I'll show you what I got going on. So for those of you that know me and have been following for a while, you know I'm not a huge fan of portable power stations as your primary power supply in vehicles for a couple limitations. It's just a couple things personally for me that I feel like a lot of people will be better with a full custom system, electrical system. However, power stations are becoming more popular. They're becoming more feature rich, and a lot of you guys just want to use them. And so my goal is always to try to help you guys just have the most successful experience. And for those of you that want to do power stations, I think this could be a good solution. So here's what we got going on. I have this Blue Eddy power station right here. This is the AC200L. And so what I'm going to be doing is showing you guys how, if you have a power station, you can still do, you can overcome some of the limitations that currently exist. And I'm going to explain those to you right now. So the first limitation on the power station is that, I like that, it kind of rhymes. The limitation on the power station. The first one is that all the outlets are on the face of the power station. So if you want to plug anything in, it has to plug in right here. So if you're in a small vehicle like a minivan or a Transit Connect or even a standard van maybe, you can get by just by having everything plug into one spot. But if you're talking about bigger vehicles like box trucks or shuttle buses or full-size Sprinters and ProMasters, you might want to have outlets other places inside your vehicle. You might want to have a plug-in by your bed to charge your smartphone. You're going to want plug-ins by the kitchen for all your kitchen appliances. You might want to plug in by your desk. And so with the power station, you can't really do that. You got to use the outlets in the front. And then the second limiting factor on the power stations is there's not really a good solution for running an air conditioner. All these power stations, as far as putting out 12 volts, like say to run a 12-volt air conditioner or a 12-volt mini split, they don't put out enough amps. All these power stations only put out 10 to 20 amps at 12 volts. And to run an air conditioner, you need between 60 and 80 amps to run a 12-volt air conditioner. You cannot do it off a power station. So your only option is to run a traditional 120 volt air conditioner. Now you can get like wall mounted air conditioners, like what you use in a house, or the little portable roll around air conditioners, but none of them are as efficient as a mini split. And so what I've done is I've created a way to run a mini split off of a portable power station and also have regular outlets that you would use throughout your van off the power station. So let's take a look at it. I'll show you guys what we got going on for the test here. And I'm going to have my flashlight in one hand. Actually, let me see if I can set this up to where I don't have to hold it. We'll go like this. Okay, so this is what I've got going on. So the trick to all this is that you need a power station that has the 30 amp shore power plug. So this is the AC 200L. It has the plug. All the major manufacturers make power stations with the 30 amp plug. EcoFlow does it, Anchor does it, Pecron does it, Oops does it. The Oops Mega Series power stations have a 30 amp plug. So what we're going to do is I've created a breaker box with a 30 amp shore power plug. So now what that means is we can plug in the 30 amp shore power plug. It's kind of hard with one hand. There we go. Into the power station. And now we have access to up to 30 amps of 120 volt electricity. So what I've done is I've created this breaker box. So all that 30 amps comes into the breaker box. And then we can add regular breakers and regular outlets. So for example, here's one I have right here. It's got just two outlets on it, as well as uh, a USB and a USB-C outlet. So, so you could mount something like this, next to your bed and have power right next to your bed to charge your phone, do something like that. And so the way this would work is wherever you're going to put the power station in your van, you would just mount this box onto the wall next to the power station. You plug in the main cable into the power station, and then all these outlets available for sale, and they'll come in all different lengths. And so you would go ahead and integrate this into the build just like you would a regular electrical circuit. So if you need a 20-foot or a 25-foot piece, then you would just go ahead and you would, bury it in the wall, cut a little opening, mount this box, and then run all the wires go back and connect into this box. And so now you have outlets that are not tied to the power station. And then the same thing is true for the air conditioner. So I have my air conditioner opened up here, and you can see it has, if you see those little blue connectors there, those are the types of, that's how you connect an air conditioner to your electrical system. You run bare wire with a little ring terminal, and then you physically wire it in to the circuit board on the air conditioner. And so what I have here is I have one of the cable from the mini split just runs up and it goes right into the box here, and it's protected by this breaker. And again, if you're installing this in your van, you would do the wiring properly. You would bury the wires in the wall. For my install, I don't know if you can see it. I have that black line there that runs down through the wall, and then it has a waterproof connector on it. But so basically now you can add any type of high voltage appliance into your house and still use the power station. So I'll show you guys how this works. We'll go ahead and turn on the power station, fire it up, and there it is. You can see we got 93% capacity. And then the next thing we're gonna do is turn on the AC output. So that turns on the inverter. So now it's taken the battery power in here and it is converting it to 120, and it's sending it out through this plug right here into that power station. So what we can do is we can plug in this guy right here, plug it in USB into the outlet, and we can plug it in. I got an iPad here Oops, that's not it. It's the other cable. I got an iPad here I'm using just as a demo. So we go like this, and then we go like this. No, it's already fully charged. I was making a video with it earlier. Anyway, so laptop's getting power from the power station. I also have this little heat gun right here. So I can turn this on, and you see the power climb up 365 watts from the heat gun. And then if I turn it off, then that 300 goes away. And then we'll go ahead and test out the mini split. So let me hop in and get the remote for the mini split. We'll kick it on. Like that. And let it go. It's 67 in here. I just have it on cooling. I'll leave it there. It's 67. I have it set for 61. I heard the fan kick on. You can see the fan outside just kicked on. So the mini split's ramping up, 200 watts, 265 watts, 287 watts. Look at that. And I tell you guys how efficient these mini splits are, and people don't believe me. Look at that, 300 watts. You can't even find a house air conditioner, even the small wall air conditioners, the little 5,000 BTU units, those pull like 500 watts. So this is 12,000 BTUs of cooling, the most you can get on a 120 volt unit, and we're only pulling 346 watts. And so now this power station, it has a 2400 watt inverter. So that means in theory, we could load up to 2400 watts all at the same time. I'll kick on the heat gun and watch that power consumption double. This heat gun pulls more power than my mini split air conditioner. Watch. So there it is. I'm running my mini split and a heat gun off the Blue Eddy, and we're only pulling 723 watts. So this isn't even maximum. Now you could still run an induction cooktop or an Instant Pot or a television and an Xbox, and you could have all that stuff plugged in to outlets distributed throughout your home on wheels. Very exciting. So it's pretty capable unit. You know, the only limitation on this really is going to be the battery capacity. You're going to need a lot more batteries, um, you know, to really be able to run this thing for a long time, but maybe not much more because my electrical system that I run my mini split on all summer when I was in Texas, um, my electrical system is only 5,000 watt hours. So if you have this 2,000 watt hour built-in battery, and if you got 2,000 watt hours of expansion battery, or maybe a little more, you should be able to run it pretty much 24/7. Now, John C. just asked about running the air conditioner all night. And so I can speak to that because I lived in Austin, Texas all summer with this setup, and I did run my air conditioner all night. But uh, the reason I was able to do it is because of how low the power consumption is. Right now, we're only pulling 317 watts. And so what's nice about the mini split is it's it's super low power consumption, and the air conditioner, it's going to kick on and off throughout the night just to maintain temperatures. So it doesn't run continually all night. It's just going to kick on and off as it needs. So it might kick on for, I don't really know, maybe 20 minutes every hour to bring the temperature back down, maybe half an hour every hour. I'd never measured that, but it'll run throughout the night. But it worked for me in Austin, Texas with this battery system, my house battery system, 5,000 watt hours with my 1,200 watts of solar with the mini split. I had it set 24/7 to maintain a consistent temperature. And now, yeah, someone's asking about inputs. So the Blue Eddy, and another thing I like about the newer power stations is they're actually able to use a significant amount of solar. So for example, the Blue Eddy can accept up to 145 volts of solar panels. And so I think that's around 2,000 watts of solar, maybe more. Um, so anyway, yeah, you can put up to 145 volts of solar on this. And then keep in mind, um, you can also charge this with the Blue Eddy Charger 1, which is that DC to DC. That's the DC to DC charger. So when your engine's on, then you could also use the Charger 1 as a supplemental power source. So with those two features, it's pretty cool. And then one other thing I wanted to mention here before we shut it down is another cool thing about this system is um, all the all these components that I'm using. These are components that I've installed and I've been using in my van for the last 2 years. So if we look down here, I have this, it's a little different style, but it's basically the same breaker box with the smaller breakers built in. And I have an outlet that comes right off of it that I use to power some stuff. And then the main line coming into this box before it gets distributed out, that main line is coming from my inverter charger. So if you guys did a setup like this, just imagine the Blue Eddies sitting here, the box mounted to the wall, all your wires going back behind the wall, running to all your outlets, and then if you guys decided in the future you wanted to do a full custom electrical, you wanted to get out of the mini split, I'm sorry, get out of the power station, you could leave all that stuff existing and get a regular inverter charger and you could just hook it directly in to the system that I'm offering you. So at that point, it's like it's kind of future proof. If you decided you wanted to do regular batteries and you wanted to do an all-in-one inverter charger or whatever, you have the capability to upgrade in the future. So I think it's a pretty cool system um, for folks that really want to do power stations. So that's it. That's my presentation. I just wanted to show you guys what I'm working on. Yeah, someone's asking about fire prevention. Yeah, so it has these breakers built in right here. And so if you flip the breakers, it kills power. The breakers are set up so that if you really, the only thing that will cause a fire is either one, a loose connection, or two, if you put more juice through the wires than they're rated for, because that creates heat, heat creates fire. That's the only two things that can cause a fire: too much power or wire connections are loose. And so the breakers prevent too much power. So if you exceed, like 15 amps on a circuit, that will automatically trip and it will shut down the circuit and protect it. Additionally, the Blue Eddy has internal safeguards. So if you try to pull more power than what the Blue Eddy can put out, the 30 amps it can put out, then that's going to shut down. And as far as loose connections go, I'm using all the same practices and components that I use in my regular installations. I'm using high quality wire, large wire size. I'm using ferrule connections. Everything's crimped properly. So keep in mind, I've basically been using this exact setup in my van for 2 years now. And this is the same stuff I install for all my clients in person. So um, as far as safety and fires and stuff go, it's all, it's all going to be pretty good. You won't have to really worry about it. And here's another example of another option you guys will have. If you want to get a double outlet one, you could have up to 4 plugs. So you might like to do something like this maybe in your kitchen. If you have like a blender and a cooktop or instant pot, you want to be able to charge a whole bunch of stuff. You can do 4 outlets like this, and it's just off a single line. And so this box will have variations where you can order multiple outlets. You can see there's room for additional breakers. This is just a test setup to show you guys what's possible, but there'll be all kinds of options available. And It's all going live next Sunday. So not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, um, I'll have an actual published video that kind of reviews all this, and then it'll be for sale on the Nomadics website. So that's it. That's what I have to say about running your power station. I just wanted to show you guys it's possible. Pretty excited about it. If you guys have any questions um, about what we talked about, let me know, and I'll try to answer them before we move on and get to talking about other Nomad things. Gary, I ran my 9,000 BTU mini off a $100 Craigslist inverter and a coach battery for 3 hours a night. Doesn't work great in the summer. In the winter, yeah, yeah. So heating mode actually uses more energy than cooling mode, and a 100 amp hour battery isn't really enough. I mean, it'll do it, but that's only going to get you, um, maybe like 3 hours of runtime, or maybe even less. So yeah, it's better for cooling. Okay, all right. Let me just wrap this up here, and so we'll turn off the AC circuit. All right. Oh, it's just a single press. There we go. Turn off the AC circuit. Turn off the power station. Oh, I guess you got to hold it in. I don't know how all this stuff works. Okay, there it is. So that's it. We're all set. I'll put that back together tomorrow. Okay, here we go. All right, we're back inside. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to help out a lot of people. And so, yeah, happy to help out. I'm going to hop to the comments and see what you guys are saying. I'm coming to you from my iPhone so that I could do that little demonstration. So I'm going to log in. Oops. I'm going to log into my laptop here so I can read comments on a big screen and they don't disappear. On the iPhone, the comments disappear. So that's kind of it's a challenge. Okay, let's scroll back up to the top. RV there yet? Says, can you speak on how long it takes to charge the Blue Eddy and what solar panels you can run and how many you can run, please and thank you. Yeah, let me go to the Blue Eddy website. So because I have no idea. This stuff's all, it's all different. So let's get the actual details. Let's see, Blue Eddy. And so yeah, when you're make sure when you're looking at power stations, this is why I recommend for people, if you are going to get a power station, get one with that 30 amp output because you can see it's really expandable. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it that you're not able to do um, with the standard power stations that don't have that 30 amp output. Uh, the one thing I don't like about these manufacturers is they always hide the specifications. Like they don't just make it easy to see. Okay, so for the 200 ACL, it says maximum solar input is 1200 watts. So I was wrong. I said 2000. 1200 watts max. So to answer your question, you could install up to 1200 watts of solar, um, which is pretty good because if you think about it, it's a 2000 watt hour battery. So if you had 1200 watts of solar, you could recharge the whole damn thing in less than 2 hours. So that's plenty. But if you think about it, you would want to get at least one expansion battery, maybe two. So now we're talking about like 4 or 5 hours to recharge everything, but that's still decent. Um, And then what else do we say? It says that AC outlet, that 120 volt, it is a 30 amp output. So that's good to know. And then you can get 20 amps from the regular plugs. Um, yeah, I think that's it. So as far as like what panels and how many, 1200 watts is how many. So depending what panels you get, how many watts they are, that'll dictate how many, as long as you hit that 1200 watt max. Let's see what else we got. Brian M says my new Medea 8000 window unit uses a little more than 300 watts. They have been improving efficiency. Yeah, that's nice. Um, but yeah, that's good. That's good to see. Matt AK, by the way, thanks for shouting that out. Matt AK mentioned in the chat 1200 watts of solar on that 200L. Charlie Pepin, how many extra batteries would you need to run the Blue Eddy to match what you have? Let's see what they have. Let me see if I can move my phone over. I'll just show you guys what I'm doing. Let me see what they have for their power banks. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Um, plus solar. Plus, do they have the power bank by itself? Let's see. This is the BP210. So what is this? This is okay. So the BP210 is 2,150 watt hours. The built-in battery is 2,048 watt hours. So that would get you 4,000 watt hours. Oh my goodness. Hold on. We're all zoomed in here. Okay. So if you bought this, the Blue Eddy plus the expansion battery, that would get you 4,000 watt hours of battery. Nomad Brad has 5,100 watt hours. So that's still not quite enough, maybe, to run an air conditioner. Um, but keep in mind, look at the price on that. It's $2,798 for that Blue Eddy pack, the Blue Eddy thing, plus their power battery pack. So when we're talking about almost $3,000, um, it's definitely going to be more convenient, but it's going to be cheaper to just build your own electrical system. But I don't want to get into that argument. This is just for people that want the power station. There it is. It's possible. I would say though, you're going to need three of these. You're going to need two of these battery backups. Um, because the built-in battery plus one backup is only going to get you 4,000 watt hours, which is less than what I have. And what I have is basically just enough. Like when I was in Texas running my air conditioner over the summer, I would wake up after my air conditioner ran all night. I would wake up in the morning and my battery was empty. So a lot of times I would have to wait for the sun to come up to start charging the batteries before I could run my induction cooktop because they were that low. That happened a couple times. Um, so yeah, I would say you're gonna need more than this. So you'd have to buy a third or a second battery pack. Anyway, that's my opinion on the situation. All right, let's see what else we got. Hello from Canada, Arizona Online. Happy to see you coming from East Canada, almost to Russia. Hello, sir. Happy to have you here. What else we got? What else we got? Whoa. Scott just gifted 10 memberships to the Nomad Brad channel. Thank you, Scott. Very kind of you. Helping the people out. All right, let me see what we got here. Just scrolling through the chat right now. I hope you guys are having a good evening, just kicking back. Nomads, talking about nomad stuff. The Rumble says just left U-Haul, got a 2009 17-foot E450 V10, 150,000 miles for $10,000. That's a pretty good price. Took time off for the purchase and finally caught you live. Happy to hear it, DeRumble. Congratulations. Happy to see more people joining the box truck community. I met Jeffrey at Schoolie Palooza, who is a channel subscriber, and he just bought a 14-foot box truck, same size as mine. Just bought one and went over to California to pick it up, and then he's having it shipped back to Minnesota, and he's going to be working on it all spring and summer, and hopefully he'll come back and join us this winter. So the box truck army is growing. Very excited about it. Mark Muni says, which side should I put my water on versus electric? Are there pros and cons? So Mark, as far as like which side you would put it on, you typically in general in your vehicle, why is my camera all cloudy? In general, you want to try to balance the weight within your vehicle so it's not lopsided physically. So typically I try to put electrical on the opposite side of the water. Water weighs 8 pounds per gallon, and so your water tank could easily be several hundred pounds. And so I would put the electrical on the opposite side because by the time you have a few large batteries, um, and your inverter, I think that's a little better, and your inverter and all the other stuff, you could be at a few hundred pounds with your electrical. So that would be my suggestion to you, Mark, is have your water and electrical opposite. Those are the two heaviest things in your vehicle. Uh, Gary, I'm camping now in Montana in my truck cab. Those LiPo batteries don't work with these 10-degree and lower temps. Every night is getting under zero. Yeah, Gary, you have to have self-heating to be that cold. If it's 10 degrees, you got to have self-heating lithiums. What else we got? BK Racer FPV. Hello, happy to see you here. The Outlier Archive. I tried one of the giant Anchor power stations. I still think inverter battery setup seems to be the best. Yeah, I agree with you. Especially when we look at the cost of the battery packs, and your limitation is you can only buy 2,000 watt hour battery packs. It's just another way you're kind of limited. You have to spend more money. I think if you're doing a full build, you should do DIY, independent system. But for those that don't want to do it, we got options. Outlier Archive says, I now have two 14.3 kilowatt hour batteries and two 6K inverter. That's a huge system. I don't think I'll need 12K of output with dual inverter. That's a lot. You're ready to build a house, brother. Happy to hear it. BK Racer FPV has a question. Will you be putting out a video on different types of solar panels and reviews? Asking because not sure what kinds of things I should be aware of. No, I will not be putting out a video on reviewing solar panels. So, um, here's what's most important when you're selecting solar panels. Your primary goal should be to get as many watts on the roof as possible. So what I typically recommend is measure the space on your roof that you have available for solar, and I would try to get the biggest panel that's going to fit edge to edge, and I would do your solar panels perpendicular on the roof. So the solar panels are going widthwise across your roof. So depending what size roof you have, that might be a 400 or a 500 watt panel. But that's what's most important is maximizing the space. As far as reviews go, I've always just bought whatever solar panels are available on Marketplace, and they've been fine. And so the one thing I do recommend is if you um, find a panel that you're interested in, if you just like type in what brand it is, like I recommend for everybody, get your panels off Facebook Marketplace. I've talked about that a million times. But what you can do is um, if you know what brand panels are available on Marketplace, just type the brand and the model into Google, and then just make sure they're being sold by like a reputable manufacturer, right? And as long as they are, then it doesn't matter. See, like here's one. It's called Aptos. You know, that's a weird name. I've never heard of it, but it's being sold by Signature Solar. That's a reputable company. It's got one 5-star review, but solar panels in general they're all pretty good. I would just say stay away from the weird uh knockoff stuff on Amazon. Like mostly it's the flexible panels you get into trouble with. But if you buy any of these like, commercial solar panels, they're all going to be good quality. You got Blue Sun, Canadian Solar. So I don't really think brand matters that much. The most important thing is getting as much solar as you can. And then beyond that, the next thing you need to do is make sure the specifications match. So there's some math involved. You have to make sure when you connect the panels, they fall within the specifications of your charge controller, whether you have an all-in-one unit or a separate charge controller or a portable power station. They're all going to have specifications. So that's the second thing that's most important is getting as many solar panels as you can, but also making sure the specifications meet your charge controller, and that's going to vary by situation. So that's going to be dependent on each situation. So those are the two most important things. If you want help figuring that out, um, I can help you with that. I can help you with the math and show you how that all works. But that's what's most important. Mischief Maker says the stackable, cheaper to direct wire 100 amp hours and add on. I agree. Robert says if someone tries to build a box truck build in a residential area, whom would a person talk to find the city ordinance laws? Tried Googling it, but not sure how to proceed. Never done a build yet. Robert, happy to hear you're considering a build. So, um, when we're talking about building on the street, I would say for the most part, when you're doing a box truck build, everything's done inside the truck. The only thing you're really doing outside would be like the cutting in the windows and the door and working on the roof. But most of the work is contained inside the truck. So I don't really see a problem with doing a box truck build on a city street. I would say your biggest issue is going to be your neighbors. So if you're talking about doing a build on your street next to your house, you might talk to the neighbors if you're friendly with them because they would be the ones that might call it in. I would just say, like in general, I would say ask, for forgiveness, not permission. There might be some city code about it, but I've done builds all over the place, and as long as you're respectful, um, and you're not running a saw at 9 o'clock at night, and you don't like have stuff scattered all over the sidewalk, and of course HOAs, yeah, and there's no HOAs, then I mean you're probably going to be okay. um, that would be my suggestion. You might talk to the neighbors and just mention like, "Hey, I got this truck. I'm going to be doing a little." Just be vague. Be very vague. "Hey, I got this truck. I'm going to be doing a little work on it. Just wanted to let you know if it bothers you or anything comes up, let me know." Because that's going to be the only people really ratting you out is going to be neighbors or an HOA. Now, if you're in an HOA, that's definitely probably a no-go because they're going to squash that right away. So that would be my advice is I would just maybe mention it to your neighbors or don't. I mean, you don't have to mention it at all if you're just going to be cool about it. And if your neighbors are cool, it's up to you. But I wouldn't look at city codes or ordinances. Um, I mean, what would you even call that? The only thing I know um, is, sometimes there might be a code or ordinance for like not working on a vehicle if you're doing like fluid changes. They don't want like oil and stuff spilling onto the street. they don't want to see a car up on blocks that doesn't move. They might have an ordinance about non-operable vehicles, but I really don't know how they would have too much against, converting a box truck. Anyway, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Okay, I'm gonna scroll through the chat again. Again, thank you, Scott, for gifting 10 Nomad Brad subscriptions. Very kind of you, sir. Very generous of old Scott. Happy to hear it. Hope to be seeing you soon in Arizona, buddy. Matt AK says, I got all my big ticket power system items in this week, just waiting for the cables to show up. Happy to hear it. Happy to hear it, Matt. Someone asked about the Sun Gold Power inverter. Yes, I still recommend them. Mine's been working flawlessly for 2 years. Suron Dave has one in his Econoline box truck. It's been working great. Um, I just got gifted one by a subscriber that it wouldn't work for his application. So I'll be installing a Sun Gold Power, that 3000 watt 24-volt system. I'll be installing that into my next build out. So I think it's a great unit. Ty man, hello from Texas. Hello, Ty. Happy to see you. Hope the weather's good in Texas. Might be a little bit chilly. Texas has cold summers. Mischief Maker OG says, get your Burning Man tickets yet? I did not buy Burning Man tickets. I don't know. I'll probably maybe get them later. I might wait. Last year they went on sale super cheap closer to the event, so I might not buy them right away. The Simple Box says, been building out my truck and finally started adding in my installation. Getting the AC unit in is definitely a priority in the upcoming Texas heat. That's right. Simple Box is in Texas. I talked to this gentleman about a week ago. We had a consultation, a one-on-one, and he tackled the electrical on his own. I mean, he got some help from videos and online sources, but he did a great job at putting together an electrical system just based on information on the internet. So super proud of Simple Box. He did it. If he can do it, you can do it. It's not that difficult. The Rumble says, can I tap into the power under the driver's seat to connect my Renogy DC to DC? I honestly, the Rumble, you need to go to the battery. It's a big draw. 50 amps is a lot of juice. So you want to pull that directly from the battery. And the reason why is your battery, it's an energy storage device. So just think of the battery under the hood of your engine. Let's say it's this big. That's how much energy it holds. When that DC charger kicks on and you pull 50 amps, all the power is the power is gonna get pulled out of your battery, but the battery has a reserve. So it's able to still have enough electricity to power all the other stuff in your vehicle. There's a huge amount of energy right there, and it's getting fed by the alternator. But if you hook up that 50 amp DC to DC, not at the battery, you do it down the line, down through a cable. When that DC to DC kicks on, it's not going to have a huge power reserve right there to draw from. So it's going to pull all the power out of your lines, and any other device that's in between your battery and your connection point is potentially going to have power stolen from it to go into this DC charger. So it can affect other items like your headlights. Your headlights could dim. You could have all kinds of issues going on. So for a large current device like a 50 amp DC charger, 100% you want to be attached directly to the battery. Don't starve your headlights. Adventures with Super Dave coming in with a super chat. Thank you, Super Dave. I appreciate you coming in strong. Super Dave is by far my largest financial supporter. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate knowing that I'm bringing value and that you're enjoying the show. That's what we got. This is the Nomad Brad show tonight. Scott says, I'm ready to chat. Hit me up when you're able. Happy to hear it, Scott. I do have your info. Uh, I'm gonna make a note right now, and we'll set something up. I'm gonna make a note right now to Message Scott, and we're gonna get his electrical squared away. I'll tell you what, Scott, I had a great time at Schoolie Palooza. I met two people from the channel, subscribers, that just got into Nomad Life. They're loving it. They were super nice, friendly folks. We had a really good circle at Schoolie Palooza. Most of it was newer folks that I didn't already know. So, Scott, you're definitely going to be excited when you get your rig and you come over to the west side and you meet all these other cool nomads. And it's a really good group. Everyone was kind of in a similar situation, similar stories, similar age group. So, we got a pretty good little nomad support circle going on out here. You're going to enjoy it, Scott. Christian in the chat. Kristen, Chrissy in the chat. Happy to see you. I saw Chrissy. That's AJ's girl. I saw Chrissy at Schoolie Palooza. We all camped together this past week. Had a great time. It was good to get to know you, Chrissy, a little bit better in person. We had a couple epic campfire evenings. Told some good stories. Did a lot of laughing. Had a great time. It was great to connect with everybody at Schoolie Palooza, and had a really awesome time. Happy you could be there, and happy you're joining us this evening. The Simple Box says box truck gang forever. I agree, Simple Box. Box truck gang. Anthony Dixon says, can you run a Blue Eddy Charger 1 on a regular RV? Yes. Yeah, you can use a Charger 1 on a regular RV. You can use it on most vehicles. The only vehicle is if you have some really small car, like some little commuter, little old Toyota Corolla, it might be an issue for the alternator. Your alternator just might not put out enough juice. But on an RV or any type of large truck or van, there should be enough capacity in the alternator to run the Charger 1. Shouldn't be a problem. Definitely not a problem on an RV. Mischief Maker OG says DC to DC charger needs a positive run directly off vehicle battery with a 50 amp fuse in between. Yeah, exactly. Mischief Maker nailed it right off the battery. Um, Ron recommends shade resistant panels. That's something you guys can look into if you're thinking about solar panels. They have some called shade resistant. It has to do with the way that the cells are connected. So the idea is if one part of the panel gets shaded, it doesn't greatly affect the other portions of the panel. Not a bad suggestion. Might look into those. Ron says they're expensive. Of course, any new technology is always expensive. Any premium technology is always expensive. I've never had shade resistant panels. Um, I just don't park in the shade. It really isn't an issue for me. If you're going to be in the city a lot, then that's something to consider. Um, but if you're out there doing your own thing, you can probably find a spot without shade. The only caveat would be if you're trying to camp a lot of time in the forest. If you're in the forest a lot, you might come across shade. So it's something to think about. Outlier Archive says I have 10 550-watt bifacial panels. Holy cow, that's a lot of solar, my man. 5,500 watts. Let's go. Gary says I haven't had a good experience buying the Hyundai panels. Couldn't get more than 60% no matter the angle or time of year. Haven't heard of Hyundai panels, but interesting. Duly noted. Got them from Signature Solar. I mean, I would reach out to Signature. Signature is a really good company. They stand behind all their stuff. They're local. They're a Texas-based company. They only sell good stuff. So I would say if that's a true statement, I would reach out. I'm not saying it's not a true statement. I would say I would reach out to Signature and find out what's going on. Maybe there's an issue. Um, maybe there's an issue with the wiring or something's funky going on. I don't know, but I would definitely reach out to him because 60% is no good. KV says you're an inspiration, awesome lifestyle. Thank you so much, KV. I appreciate you. BK Racer FPV comes in with a super chat, says thank you. We'll be purchasing your services in the near future. Thank you, BK Racer. I appreciate you. I'm here to help you out and get you into the nomad lifestyle. Mischief Maker says Renogy has easy DIY build kits. There you go. Renogy's got the kits. Tip Tap, do you recommend the Sun Gold inverter? I already mentioned that. Yeah, I do. The Sun Gold inverter is good. Matt, Simple Box says I'm building mine in my storage unit parking spot. The worker came to tell me I'm not technically allowed to build it there, but as long as I wasn't too obvious, then she won't snitch to the owner. So Simple Box is talking about doing a conversion in his parking spot. So yeah, that's guys, in general, when it comes to nomad life, in general, the principle is ask for forgiveness, not permission. The world is full of rules and regulations that many of us do not agree with, and many of us find to be, um, not kind of unlawful. And so I would say, obviously not for big issues, but for smaller things like building in a parking lot, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. It's probably okay. Worst case is they tell you you can't do it and you have to stop. And then you're in the same boat as if you didn't even start. You got to find a location, but you've already made progress. So I would say you're probably fine and ask for forgiveness. Same with, street parking, all that kind of stuff. You'll get a lot further if you follow those principles. Nomad Tim says I live in an HOA and there's a narc that drives around and he would have a heart attack. Yeah, HOAs are terrible. I will never live in a neighborhood with an HOA. Matt AK says the only bummer about the Sun Gold inverters is the MPPT needs a lot of volts to work. Yeah, absolutely. It does, right? So the Sun Gold inverter I have the old version, and the old version only needed like 70 volts for the MPPT to activate. And so I have my solar coming in at like 85 volts or something. I'm fine. But the newer one now, it's 120-volt minimum. It's a little more difficult. But if if you guys get um the bigger panels, you're gonna be fine. Um, like I was talking to a gentleman today on Facebook that has 550 or 500-watt panels, and they were like 48 volts a piece. So if you run three of those in series, you're going to have enough voltage to activate the MPPT. So it's all relative. If we're talking about box trucks and shuttle buses and cargo trailers, you'll have no problem hitting the voltage requirements for MPPT. But if we're talking about sprinters and ProMasters and cargo vans, it's not advisable. So again, that goes into you got to do your own research. RV there yet says, what about mixing solar panels? I have one 100-watt connected to a 320-watt. It falls into the specs, but I have a feeling it's not good. Yeah. So in general, mixing solar panels is not recommended. There's a whole web article I found that describes why, but basically, when you're connecting solar panels together, the the voltage, I think the voltage of the lowest panel, I think like the voltage of the higher panel gets pulled down to the voltage of the lower panels, something like that. But if you connect like a 100-watt panel to a 320-watt panel, I think um, it could be like you could be losing a lot of efficiency. So I never mix panels, um, but I'll have to look for the article. It's something to again research it, but I don't think it's a good idea in general. It's one thing if they're close, like if you have a 320-watt panel and a 350-watt panel, I think it's more acceptable, but that's a pretty big range because a 100-watt panel is only like 17 volts, and a 300-watt panel could be 30 volts. So that's a pretty big difference. I would not even use the 100-watt panel. I mean, that ain't much at all. Or what you could do is you can just run 2 charge controllers. So like that 100-watt panel, I mean, you can get a cheap $15 Amazon charge controller. You don't have to get an expensive one. So if you have each type of panel on its own charge controller, then none of what I said applies. It's totally acceptable to run different solar panels on different charge controllers connected to the same battery. So that would be my suggestion for you. Just get one of those cheap $15 charge controllers on Amazon. Just run a new line, hook it up to the battery. You're good to go. Desert Runner Rick in the chat, another gentleman that I camped with at Schoolie Palooza. It was great to hang out with Rick. We also shared some campfire stories, had a good time. Happy to see you here, Rick. Rick says, smash the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up. Help me spread the information to the people. Let them know. CH Bimmer says, just saw a short with you not paying rent in 6 years. Clicked your username and you're doing a live stream. Yes, sir. That was Michael Hickey filmed a tour of my box truck in San Diego, and that thing went viral. It's got millions of views, so it brought in um, a lot of new subscribers. Happy to have you here, CH Bimmer. Welcome to the live stream. Simple Box is asking about internet providers. Yes, I'm using Connect 10. That's these guys right here. In the past, I've used Nomad Internet. Uh, so as far as mobile internet goes, after being a nomad for 7 years, I'm gonna give you the dirty and honest truth that nobody will tell you. Nobody else will tell you what I'm about to tell you. As a nomad, all your options for internet, whether it be hotspot, tethered to a smartphone, satellite, Starlink, none of them will ever be as fast or as reliable as home internet. It's not possible. Even with Starlink, it's not going to happen. You're just going to have to become comfortable. And this is just part of a trade off, right? We're gaining some freedom by being able to travel, spend less on monthly expenses, see more nature, visit friends and family, lots of benefits. One of the drawbacks is that you're not going to have super fast and reliable internet. That's just what it is. So just understand that and move ahead knowing that. And knowing that sometimes when you need the internet for a consulting call, a coaching job, for work, sometimes it's going to be funky. Now, that being said, what I can say is that if you're in a city, a mobile hotspot is faster than Starlink, especially for upload speeds. Starlink upload speed is pretty slow compared to um, cell tower speeds. I think it just has to do with how far away the satellite is. I don't know, but that's the facts. Um, and then when we're talking about hotspot based internet, I really like this Connect 10. And the reason I like it is because it works with all the carriers. It can work with T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon. The other guys like Nomad Internet, which is still a good choice, Nomad Internet only works with Verizon. If you tether to your smartphone, it's only going to work with the cell provider of your smartphone. But if you get Connect 10, it can alternate between all three. So right now, I'm at my dad's in Verizon, and my dad's in Yuma, and Verizon had the strongest signal. When I was over in San Diego, T-Mobile had the strongest signal. So that's what I will say. The other thing I will say is if you're going to be out in the boonies somewhere, you're absolutely going to want Starlink. So it kind of depends what your goals are as a nomad. If you have an income that relies on the internet, I would suggest you have both. I would suggest you have a hotspot and Starlink. Now, there is a new deal going down with T-Mobile and Starlink. They just launched a pilot program where, let's see, they just launched a beta program where, uh, here it is right here. You guys can Google this. T-Mobile and Starlink. So basically, the way this works is if you're in reach of a T-Mobile cell tower, you will be using T-Mobile cell tower based internet. If you are without not within reach of a cell tower, you will be able to use Starlink. And so I think this is actually the very best option. Now, this just came out, it's limited. They're only doing beta testing, but I think, probably in 6 to 12 months, this is going to be rolled out. And I believe this will be the best option. So that's my suggestion for you guys. You should have both. And in the future, you will be able to have both if you choose T-Mobile. And I don't even use T-Mobile. I'm not even sponsored by them. That's just my honest feedback. Although I did use their towers when I was in San Diego with my Connect 10 internet box, and T-Mobile was very fast. Let's go back to the chat, see what we got. Uh, let's see. Brian M is asking, is the Sun Gold inverter 24 or 48 volts? They might make both, but we're talking about the 24 volt inverter. I would recommend the 24 volt for any type of vehicle. Don't get a 48 volt. Tip Tap coming in with a comment says, found your channel because I just bought a 2007 Ford E450 with the same engine as yours from a local store that closed. Your videos have been super helpful. Happy to hear it. Happy to hear it. Someone's asking about my internet. Um, it's Connecten. It's the number 10 spelled out. I'll drop it in the chat. Connect 10 Internet. And their pricing is pretty competitive. It's actually cheaper. They have like different levels, so it's actually cheaper than Nomad Internet. I enjoyed Nomad a lot. The only limitation is they're locked to Verizon, and sometimes Verizon was not very good reception. Sometimes I would have to use my iPhone as a tether because my iPhone is AT&T, and I would have noticeably better reception on a AT&T than I did on Verizon. And the problem with that is when I'm tethering through AT&T, I'm limited to like 50 gigs of data per month. And so if you're doing live streams and uploading videos, you eat up that 50 gigs pretty fast. Will Badger just bought an EG4 for an F550 box truck, 10 Hyperion 400-watt bifacial panels, hoping to fit 6 of them on the roof. There you go. Will is doing it, doing a 6000 XP. I think that's the same unit Zach Zoller put in his truck. That's a big ass unit. That's like that's a split phase inverter charger, I think. That's a big unit. DeRumble comes through with the tip. Appreciate you, DeRumble. Thank you so much. Appreciate all you guys for the super chats. Jake says, I thought you got a new box truck. No, sir. My box truck is for sale. Sir on Dave got a new box truck, and that's what we're going to be building out. I'll give you guys a little update. Sir on Dave's new box truck that he bought, he's having some work done on it. So it's currently in San Diego still. He's hoping to have it back maybe in a week or so. And then as soon as he gets it back, we're going to drive that thing out to the desert and start building it. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. But once Dave's rig is ready, then we're going to start doing a bunch of build videos. It's going to be really exciting to do some build videos in the desert. And my truck is still for sale. Um, I've had a lot of people interested. Nobody has bought it yet, obviously. Still, I'm getting people I'm going back and forth on. Like, I got 2 new emails over the weekend of people that are interested. So it's one of those things where it just takes as long as it takes, you know? And it's typically it's harder to sell a vehicle like this in the winter. Most people buy in the springtime in anticipation of traveling in the summer. So it's kind of hard to sell just in general, to sell a vehicle, a tiny home on wheels in wintertime. Also, I'm asking a significant amount of money for it, and you're not going to be able to get a loan on it. So it's going to have to be a cash buyer. So it's a very specific person who is going to buy the vehicle. So it takes as long as it takes. And I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'll be ready when that person's ready. I've been going back and forth. I might do a price drop on it. Um, I might I might lower the price next week a little bit to see if that generates any new interest. Try to hit a lower price threshold, and I'd rather not have it sell like in the middle of summer. You know what I mean? I'd rather not. I'd rather have it sell now so I could get in some work out here in the desert, and it would be a lot easier. So even if it means less money, um, yeah, I would rather sell it, in the next couple weeks or month. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. Brian M says I trashed my alternator with the DC to DC charger set too low, so it continued to constantly draw. Yeah, I mean, if your DC to DC charger has like a programmable set point, you don't want to put it too low so that it drains your battery beyond when the car shuts off. So there's definitely some when it comes to programming them, there's some specifications you want to follow. HVAC King says, "What up? Hello, sir. I used to be a HVAC man. I did residential HVAC as a service tech for about 10 years up in Oregon. Had a good time. Looks like you're in Redding, California. Do I know you? Have we met before? You sound pretty friendly. I don't remember. I don't recognize your name. You're in Redding. Maybe I'll come by." Outlier Archive. Have you seen many box trucks with the thin, flimsy fiberglass roofs that allow light in? Yes, I have. Um, it's not fiberglass because fiberglass is not transparent. I think it's some kind of a composite. Um, it's some kind of a different composite plastic. It's not fiberglass, some kind of plastic. But yeah, I don't know that I would mount solar panels directly onto that, especially if you're talking about like 5 or 6 of them. I would, what I would do is I would use my solar panel mounting rail system. If you watched my solar panel video where I do the no drill solar install, um, I'm not saying you have to use I wouldn't suggest using the tape on that. I think it's pretty flimsy, but I would use that track system that I created, and I would just drill um, through the rails and then directly into your cross beams. So the nice thing is that track system comes in like 36 or 48-inch lengths. And so um, you should be able to hit your cross beams. And if you need to, you can run the track system perpendicular, so it's running down the length, and then you can drill it into each cross beam. But that's what I would do. I would try to drill into those cross beams, the aluminum beams. Those are pretty strong. But I wouldn't trust drilling it right into the roof. Those are super thin. Nomad King Gamer, uh, talking about my router. My Connect 10 router has antennas. So these are all the different antennas. I think that helps it, bring in a stronger signal, I think. I still have the Nomad. So here's the Nomad, but, if you look at those 2 devices, like, which one do you think would bring in a stronger signal? These antennas are all internal versus that's got a whole external antenna array. So I think the Connect 10 is going to give you better reception, but it's a little bit large, right? Versus this guy is pretty small and portable. You can just pack it into a drawer like what I have going on down here. Anyway, that's the story on that. That's the story on the Nomad. I was pretty happy with their service though. They did a good job. Let's see, scrolling down the chat, Charles Serratos says, thank you for all the great information. I appreciate you, Charles. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for tipping in. This is Charles' fifth super chat on the live stream. Appreciate it, Charles. Appreciate the contributions. Happy to know you guys are finding value in the information. I kind of take it for granted sometimes. I'm just up here spitting a bunch of nonsense, but I forget that, for a lot of you guys, uh, the experience that I have, the mistakes I've made, the stuff that I've figured out is valuable. So I'm happy to see that you guys are liking it and you're supporting me with some super chats. Adam Burley comes in with a super chat as well. This is his first super on a live stream. Happy to be your first, Adam. I appreciate you. Um, Richard Guzman, I must say you have a very impressive setup. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. Brian M asking about the hotspot. Yes, sir. I dropped a link in the chat. Matt AK says a 48-volt system is good for a cabin, not for van or RV. I agree. 48-volt is great for a cabin or a shed or some kind of an outbuilding. Not great for a vehicle. Will Badger says, I'm a gamer and stream, so I need some juice for two PCs. Might have to add another battery or two down the road. Absolutely, Will. Yeah, you can calculate it, right? All you have to do, Will, is look at the power rating on all your devices. So, like your computer, your PCs, look at the power supply. Is it 350 watts? Is it 500 watts? Add together all the stuff, your monitors, your PC power supplies, your fridge. Add together the watts that everything consumes. And then whatever that total is, say it's 2000 watts, that's a per hour rating. So that means all your devices are going to consume 2000 watts per hour. Then what you do is multiply how many hours you need to use all those devices. So if you're going to be gaming for 5 hours and you use 2000 watts an hour, you need 10,000 watts. Okay. And then you just find a battery bank with at least 10,000 watt hours. Will says both have 1300 watts power supplies. They draw around 1,000 when running. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Your computer, if you have two computers drawing 1,000 watts an hour, you're going to need 2,000 watts just for your computers. That's monster. That's going to be really tough because if we're talking about putting solar on the roof, you're going to need at least enough solar to make up for the 2000 watts you're losing from your computers. Plus, you need extra solar to charge your batteries and power the fridge and all your other stuff. So I hope you got a big vehicle because you're probably talking, I mean, you need to be closer to 3000 watts if you can. Hopefully, you got a big box truck, my friend. Oh, Brian M comes through with a super chat with a super thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Jonathan C. Landa says my rig doesn't have a shower. I know it doesn't. I know. I'm living in it. I've lived for 7 years without a shower. I realize that's going to be a drawback for some people. Some people really want a shower. And so those people are not going to buy this vehicle. In fact, if it had a shower, I probably would have sold it for more and it probably would have sold already. But it's just what it is, man. Everyone's different. Everyone's got their own agendas. And I know it'll find a new home when the time's right. Can't rush the universe. It's got its own plans. Uh, Brian M. I'm selling my truck. I'm selling my van for 50,000. Brian M. That's the price right now. I might drop the price next week. I'm thinking about it. I'd like to sell it soon. Booty Snatcher. Whew, it's quite the name. Do you remember me? I do not, Booty Snatcher. I don't remember you. but you got quite the name. Uh, Adam says, thanks for the tips. You've been helpful. I appreciate it. Happy to hear that. Adventures with Super Dave has been a platinum member for 8 months. I appreciate you. Um, I appreciate you, Super Dave. Appreciate the platinum contributions. Appreciate having you in the chat. You're a super active member. Super Dave is here for almost every live stream. Appreciate you, brother. The Outlier Archive. Do you play video games? You know, Outlier Archive, I used to game when I was younger. Um, my live stream just kicked out. Okay, I guess I'm still good. On my laptop, it just shut down, but we're still good. I used to game when I was younger. I'm just so busy. It's hard, man. I'm really busy. Believe it or not, all this YouTube stuff takes a lot of time. Plus, being a nomad and traveling around and making food and all that kind of stuff takes time. And then I'm doing electrical installs and building power station accessories. I'm a busy man. Let's see what else we got going on. The Outlier Archive says the box looks fairly empty. I wonder how you spend free time. Bro, I'm always busy. I wish I wasn't. I'm busy a lot. I have a TV, so I got a 50 or a 43-inch flat screen. So usually in the evenings I'll watch like an hour or two of YouTube before I go to bed, kind of catch up on some subscribers that I follow, but I'm really busy, man. So if you think about it, like every YouTube video I put out, I have to plan it and film it and edit it every week. I have to do that every week. I have to plan a video, film a video, edit a video. And each process, planning, filming, editing, each process takes half a day to a day. Filming a video usually takes a full day. Editing a video takes a full day. Planning might be a half day. So that means every week I'm losing 2 days just to YouTube videos. And then I got my live stream and I got my installation business. So I'm a busy guy. Not complaining though, but I do not have that much free time. Matt AK, I only have 400 amp hours of battery, so I'm leaving the nice gaming PC in storage, rocking a laptop. Too many power needs for the big PC. Yeah, I hear you, man. I didn't realize they had 1,000-watt power supplies. That's crazy. That's a lot of juice. But I guess, you're running big graphics cards and stuff. You got to have it. Lazy Ass Asian says, my Blue Eddy 2 AC200L and Charger 1 were delivered today. Thanks to you for all the information. Happy to hear it. Uh, yeah, that's a super good setup. I think you'll really enjoy it. Yeah, you should be able to hook everything up yourself. I think you have a Ford Transit, and I'm thinking, is the battery under the driver's seat on that? You should be able to hook up the power cables on your own. Uh, if you need any direction, give me a holler. I can maybe just point you in the right direction with that, but you should be fine installing it yourself. The Nomad Tim, is it possible to have four 12-volt batteries, but run them in two sets of two to make them 24 volts? Yes, it is possible, of course. Yeah, Um, I did a shuttle bus build this summer in San Diego, and she had four 12-volt batteries, and we did two sets in parallel, uh, and then those two parallel sets in series to run a 24-volt inverter. So you can absolutely do that. Yeah, those Epoch batteries are so badass. Four of them would be bananas. I have two of them, and that's 10,000 watt hours, which is like a lot of juice. Having 20,000 watt hours, that's like mind blowing. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Grab those Epoch batteries. BK Racer says, I either use up all the juice for gaming or spoiled milk in the fridge. If you're a hardcore gamer, I'm sure you'll stick to gaming and just buy powdered milk. That would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, I would give you a word of caution if you're serious about all that. I mean, if you're really trying to run, are you the guy doing the 1,000-watt computers? If you seriously are trying to run 2 computers that pull 1,000 watts, oh, no, that's Will. This is somebody different. Anyway, yeah, that's just something to take into account. So just look at the specs of your equipment, and then just keep in mind when you're sizing your electrical system, your solar and your battery bank, you need to take into account how much energy you're actually using on a daily basis. And you want to make sure that system actually meets the needs of your energy consumption. So if you put in a small system and you're going to pull way more energy, that's going to be a big fail because you're going to have now an electrical system that's totally undersized and you're going to be struggling. So it's definitely good to do the math and make sure you get it right first. Will Badger says 17-foot box with attic. Well, I would definitely tell you to fill your entire roof with solar panels, 100%, my friend. I would measure the width of your roof and I would get whatever panel will fit edge to edge. You should be about 7.5 feet wide. So you might be able to fit a 600-watt panel or something like that. Oh, is that it? You're the guy with the 400-watt panels? That's 6 times 4 is 24. You're going to be at 2,400 watts. That's going to be, I don't know, bro. I don't know about that. That's going to be a struggle. Um, One thing to consider too is your solar gain is going to be fluctuate through the seasons. Like in the wintertime, like right now, you're only getting 5 hours of daylight. It's only your sun's only up to charge your panels between about 9 a.m., 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Well, that was about a month ago when I was in California, but during the winter, you're only going to have 4 or 5 hours window to charge everything. And then that charge has to last you the whole rest of the evening into the next morning. So I would be very cautious, my friend. ML is asking, what's your next vehicle? I don't know yet. I'm pretty sold on an Isuzu box truck, an 18-foot box with 8-foot ceilings. I want to this next build, I really want it to be a real tiny house. That's kind of my goal. Legit tiny house, legit wet bath, bigger kitchen, lounge area, big bed, everything. It's going to be fully featured, water heater, roof full of solar. I'm really trying to go big. I want to bridge the gap between, living in a van that's built out to be like a house and living in a house that happens to have wheels on it. So that's kind of the transition that I'm making. I'm going bigger because I want to have more of a house. I don't want to be running around the cities all the time. I'm getting too old for that. Old man's trying to retire in the country. And um I want to get land in the next couple of years. And so my goal is, here's my long-term goal, buy a big Isuzu box truck that's fully featured, 100 gallons of fresh water, big ass solar, huge kitchen, full shower. I want to do all this stuff so I can build it out over the next year, live in it, enjoy it. And then when I get land in the next couple of years, I can park the box truck on that land. And, I don't even really need necessarily to have a house right away. I can take my time. I can build a shop. What's probably more important is having a workspace to work on projects, install solar for people. And I really would rather have a workspace. So that's kind of my vision. Big Isuzu box truck that's basically a house. Do some traveling out of the city for the next couple years. Go out to the mountains, spend a couple weeks in one location, not be moving around all the time, and then over the next couple years transition into off-grid property. That's my plan. I want to always keep my home on wheels, and I have no plan to move into a sticks and bricks, but would like to have a permanent location. For me at this point, it's becoming a hindrance to not have a physical place to store parts and components and supplies. It's actually like it's like at a detriment to me because I have all these products, solar panels and power stations and batteries and inverters. I have all this stuff that people send me to test out, and I want to make videos and I want to be able to help people and do projects, but I can't have all that stuff in my vehicle while living in here. There's not enough space. And so it's being so confined is literally limiting my ability to do all the things that are paying the bills. And so that's the issue I'm running up against. Now, this would be a totally different story if I was a remote worker, if all I needed to make money was a laptop, if I was only a full-time YouTuber, then this would not be an issue. This vehicle right here would be plenty of space. But I have too much stuff. I got that big power station. I got all these parts right here at the foot of my bed. Look at this. This is all solar components that I have here. I got breakers here. I got solar components over here. I got power boxes here. So I'm kind of maxed out on capacity. Noah mentions a barn dominium. Yeah, that's a total thought that I have is I would love to have a big piece of property in nature, pour a cement slab, and just do a big barn dominium, something I could drive my van right into and just park it. And I would fill the roof with solar panels, and then I could just have the solar panels running into my shore power and just keep the vehicle charged up while I'm parked inside. That's totally something I thought about. And then I'd have a couple doors on the barn dominium so that clients could bring me their vehicles and they could pull them in. I could do electrical and wiring on them. So that's kind of part of my bigger vision and my plan over the next few years. Let's hop back in the chat, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and a half, and I'm getting tired. It's 8:30 here in Yuma, and it's been a long day. I put together a lot of that electrical stuff today, so I've had a long day of working. Um, BK Racer says, I remember a video or two ago you recommended 24 over 12. Can you still do all the same stuff with that bigger system? And is the same price to build? Can you do all what stuff with a bigger system? I'm not sure what you mean, BK Racer. So here's the thing. There's no benefit to a 12-volt system unless you have an RV or some kind of camper that already has 12-volt stuff installed. If you're starting from scratch, there's no reason to do a 12-volt system. 24-volt is more efficient. The components are cheaper. You can use smaller wires, smaller fuses. Everything's cheaper. The all-in-one inverter chargers are cheaper. It's all cheaper. There's no benefit to a 12-volt system unless you already have a 12-volt system installed, or the caveat is if you're doing a small system, because um, you might not have enough solar. Well, if you do a separate charge controller and inverter, yeah, if you're doing a small system, it might be cheaper to do a 12 volt, like 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 on a minivan, and you're just going to do like a 1,000-watt inverter and a cheap charge controller, then a 12-volt system would probably be cheaper and that'd be fine. But for the majority of the people, there is no reason to get a 12-volt set. Zero reason to get 12 volts. Zero. Zero. 24 King, baby. Matt AK. I know I'm going to use more energy than I'm able to bring in solar, so I'm going to bring a gen. Yeah, that's something else, guys. If you're not going to have enough solar, you can bring a generator. Not the end of the world. If you need it, you need it. Will's going to do tilt panels, generator. Yeah. Okay, so Will's going to do a generator and DC to DC and a secondary alternator. So that sounds good, Will. Um, the thing too is on the DC to DC, you can stack those in series. So like Victron makes a 50 amp DC to, well, it depends what voltage battery bank you're doing. Anyway, I guess I won't get into that, but you can run multiple DC to DC chargers as long as your alternator can match the current output. So that's good. And then yeah, generator, right? Like that's the thing is if you guys need to run a generator, just run a generator. I'm not anti-generator. If you guys are at a spot where you need to run a generator, then do it. Especially if it's like your income, right? Like if you're making money as a streamer or as a gamer or doing VR stuff, if that's your income, then it makes sense to spend money to run a generator to bring in the income. So nothing wrong with that, man. You'll definitely want an automatic transfer switch um, to go between your generator and your inverter and your shore power. But you probably already knew that. It sounds like you've researched this a lot. Matt AK says this old man approves of retiring where there's no people. I hear you, Matt AK. Trying to get out to the mountains. Let's go. BK Racer says I can see you building a workshop before you build a place to sleep. Yeah, I have no problem sleeping in this van. I love it in here. If I already had land with a little shed, I wouldn't even necessarily, well, I guess I would still have to get a bigger rig because I need a shower. But yeah, like for me, it's all about the workshop. That's what I enjoy doing is creating and building and doing videos and installing stuff. So for me, that's way more important. I could care less about a house. So yeah, I'm sure the next build out, it's going to be large enough and comfortable enough. That'll be my primary residence for a long time. I have zero interest in living in sticks and bricks. Matt AK says you're gonna have to start towing a smaller trailer. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. That's why I'm doing a bigger box truck. I don't want to tow a trailer. Even with this vehicle, if I added a trailer onto it, um, I'm gonna be close to 40 feet. I'm gonna be 35, 36 feet, and that just really limits your options. You can't really there's no parking in San Diego and smaller cities for vehicle and trailer. There's some, but not on the beach. Anyway, yeah, so I don't want to do a trailer. Simple Box says this is the first time I've heard of the term barn dominium. Yeah, Google it. Google barn dominium and look at the images. They're awesome. They are awesome. I'm definitely a fan. Scott's taking off. Peace out, homie. I'll talk to you later, Scott. I'll reach out to you. Super Dave says get a trailer and put more solar on it. I could. I just don't want to tow a trailer. My 3000-watt 12-volt system was definitely not cheap, but it keeps it simpler for my travel trailer. Yes, if you already have a travel trailer with 12-volt stuff, there's no problem sticking with 12 volts. It's fine. It's already there. But I'm just saying if you're starting from scratch, I would do 24 and I would do 24-volt appliances. But yeah, for Matt AK, no sweat. BK Racer FPV says starting from scratch with the 2019 Ford Transit, I only got four 100-watt panels from Renogy. They were free. Happy to hear it. BK Racer, my honest suggestion, I would sell those 400-watt panels on Facebook Marketplace, and I would get a roof rack, and I would get bigger panels because just by the time you put in the four 100 watts, you're going to lose a bunch of extra space and you really want to try to maximize space on that. I guess it depends. I don't know what you're doing. I'm assuming. I mean, if I guess if you're just going to have minimal electric, if you're just going to do like a mini fridge and charge a laptop, you're fine with 400 watts. But if you want to like run gaming PCs and stuff, ain't no way. Will says I'm a ski snowboard bum, so I know I'll be in cold areas. Oh yeah, so you got to have a generator. Yes, sir. Noah Cashmere. I like the name Noah Cashmere. I like it. Noah says, in an RV, would you get a power station to run 12 volt and then a separate 24 volt for bigger loads? No, no, no. In an RV, it's already going to have a 12-volt system, so I would just stick with the 12-volt system. Don't mess with it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with a 12 volt, technically. It's fine. If you have 12 volt, just stick with 12 volt. It's all going to work out. Dre's van life. What's up, Dre? Happy to have you here. Will Ty says, "What's for dinner?" I'm at my dad's house, so I had dinner with my dad. Carolyn, my stepmom, she made salad with all kinds of veggies. It was delicious, and also chicken and rice. Arizona online. I know of someone building a barn dominium. It has the doors you talked about. Yeah, exactly. And a vehicle can drive in. Yes, sir. That's what's going to happen. BK Racer roof rack on the way. 100%, my man. That's the move. Yep. Get a roof rack, measure, put the widest panels you can, clear out those Renogy 100 watts on Facebook Marketplace. You'll be in a better spot. The Nomad Tim, I'm going to need lots of power because I really want an incinerator toilet. Yes, you are, sir. Those things burn for like half an hour. I would honestly get the propane one. I would get the propane toilet because once the propane's lit, you're not using electricity. BK Racer is out. Have a good night. 10 hours of drive in the morning. Good night, BK Racer. Happy to have you here. Come back next time. Simple Box, heading to bed. Cutting my pass through tomorrow. Thanks for the advice. All right, Simple Box, good luck on your pass through. Hope it all works out, brother. I believe in you. If you did the electrical, you can do a pass through, Simple Box. You got it. Matt AK says 12 volt just means you need huge wires. That's true. Yep. That's the biggest downside with 12 gauge. You need huge wires, big fuses, big fuse holder. You got to make sure your fuse holder is rated for 400 amps. There's a lot of things to consider. Um, if you use too small of a fuse or too small of a wire, you can have stuff melt and catch on fire and blow breakers. There's just a lot to be careful about. You just got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. Van time, van life. I have 600-watt Renogy panels on an E350. Happy to hear it. That's a good amount. 600 watts. Still have more room for three more. 900 watts coming in hot. Nomad Tim, have a good night. All right, everybody's dipping out. Matt says I got the links power in. Should be good. Hell yeah. Added the bolts so I can use mega fuses. Nice. Yeah, the power in is the way to go. Um, you should be in good shape. Should be in good shape. I added the bolts so I can use mega fuses. Yeah, they make a 400 amp mega fuse. I think you're going to want 400 amps because most 12 volt 300 watt inverters, well, all inverters, as your battery voltage dips, as voltage goes down, amperage increases. So if you have a inverter and your battery's at like say 12.9 volts, which is totally typical for a battery, and then you kick your inverter on and pull a huge load, you could dip down to 11.9 volts or something like that, and then your amps shoot way up. So you could be pulling 350 amps if you're running a big load. So I think you probably want a 400 amp fuse, and they do make that in a mega fuse. Matt AK says, yeah, 400 amp is what I got. Happy to hear it. Definitely. Um, does the power in have a fuse holder? Is that what you're saying? I would just say make sure the fuse holder is rated for 400 amps because some of the standalone individual fuse holders, they max out at like 300 amps. And you don't want to use a 300 amp fuse holder on that kind of load because you could be exceeding 300 amps frequently. So that's just one thing to consider. Um, when I do primary fuses on a 12 volt 3000, it doesn't, you have to add a few bolts, same bolts in the normal links. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, as long as it's like, legit within the Victron, you should be fine. Because I have a 600 amp fuse holder that I use on my 12 volt 3000 watt inverters. Not that you need that much, but I'm just saying the fuse holder's rated to 600 amps. I want to make sure if I'm flowing 350, I'm safe. And I use A&L fuses. Most of the A&L fuse holders, like those cheap plastic ones, they're only rated to like 300 amps. And you don't want to run 300 continually through it if it's rated for 300. I want a little more of a cushion. So, um, yeah, the Lynx is rated to 1,000. So yeah, you should be fine. That's what I'm saying. As long as you're working within the Victron system, then you'll be fine uh, for the amps on that fuse. I was just saying if you're using some kind of external fuse holder, make sure it's good. It sounds like you're good. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm tired. It's been a good night. It's been a good chat. We covered it all. We covered power stations and air conditioners, running them off your power station. We talked about all kinds of stuff. There was a lot of knowledge dropped. I got a lot of super chats, which I'm grateful for. And I believe the super chats are a direct reflection of the knowledge. So I know you guys appreciated and liked what happened tonight. Thank you very much. There's a video dropping this Sunday. It's going to be a recap of Schoolie Palooza if you guys want to see that. And then next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll be back at it doing a live stream talking about who knows what. I hope to see you guys there. That's it for me. Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.